A game-changing checking account with cash back. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank. Member FDIC.
All over the legend cave. If I see you do that one more time and rub your chest like you hurt, I'm gonna vomit. I hate you, dude.
The Paul Feinbaum Show. Weekdays at 3 Eastern on the ESPN app and on the SEC network.
El Clásico, Barcelona against Real Madrid.
El Clásico on ESPN Plus.
The biggest match in world football.
Barcelona's quest for back-to-back titles.
Lewandowski, score!
Versus Real Madrid's unstoppable force. Their greatest rivalry. For the love of El Clásico. Saturday, October 28th at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Barcelona, Real Madrid. On ESPN Plus and ESPN Deportes.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. All right, and welcome in. Happy Monday, everybody. It's the Kinner and Kev Show live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I'm Justin Kinner here on a Monday, and we got my guy Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, though?
How was your weekend?
Solid. Buckeyes got a victory.
You went to the game. That's right.
I was in the building. Make sure you check out my forms of social media at @1Kev Nash on X, Twitter, or whatever you want to call it, Instagram, as well as I'm a new TikToker out there, so I made a little TikTok while I was up there at the game over the weekend.
So, obviously, you had to pick between College Game Day and the Big Noon Kickoff. Which one did you go with?
I went with the Varsity Club.
Oh, so you didn't go see either.
I went with the Varsity Club and had some fun.
Let me ask you, how much hell is it downtown Columbus? I mean, I'm look, this isn't an isolated Columbus thing. This is every, college campus is just a madhouse, I'm sure, on game day mornings. But Keith was just telling me him and his wife went to the game too.
Oh, okay.
And he was saying, that him and his wife, love you, Monica, I'm not saying anything bad, I promise. He said every time she's like, well, the game's not till noon. Why do we got to go down so early? And I only laughed when he told me that because Nora and I do the same. We have the same, we bicker the same way on those days. I'll never forget the first Ohio State game we went to. We had field access.
Nice.
And she was like, well, it's not till noon. We don't have to leave until like 10:30? I'm like, do you want to watch the game? Do you want to be there? Like, we can leave at 8 or 9. Yeah. She's like, what? Like, it just turned into this thing. So what was traffic like down there? Because I'm sure it's a madhouse on any given weekend, but this seemed to have
got the dump button ready?
It was hell.
It was a nightmare. So rewinding to Friday night, obviously you call week 10 of high school football, Centerville at Wayne. Wayne won the football game. I was out there at that game. So I got home like 10:30, 11 o'clock, got showered up or whatever, but the alarm was set for 5:30 the next morning. So alarm goes off, 5:30, pack up a bag, get ready, hit the road. So we're out the door probably about 6:30. We go out, have some breakfast with some folks that we were going to the game with. So we left the place we were having breakfast at probably about 9:30 and sat in traffic for about 45 minutes. And then shouts out to our Uber driver. She decided to make some illegal turns, drive on the wrong side of the road, and it dropped us off. So we had to give her a nice tip because if we didn't, we probably would have just been sitting in traffic for God knows how long. So we go over to the Varsity Club. Then we eventually make our way into the stadium probably like 2 minutes before kickoff. So it was a madhouse. It was packed over there. It was a great time.
So there was no getting to game day or
no. I walked past the Big Noon Kickoff. They had a performer on stage at that time. They were at break or whatever, and I heard one of the producers giving the 60-second count before they went back on. And then on the other half of the stadium, so like the quote-unquote old open end, the open part of the shoe that's basically been closed, they were on opposite sides of each other. So you saw the game day on one side and then Big Noon Kickoff on the other side. Yeah.
And just keep them separate.
Keep them separated. Separate but equal.
Or herbs. Or herbs want nothing to do with ESPN, So there's that. But that's why if he coaches again, it will not be the Big Ten. He doesn't want to, he wants to go to the SEC. He would not want to go to the SEC. It's the ESPN. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe that's why, by the way, more reports at Michigan State that he is going to formally interview for the job, by the way.
Formally.
Same reporter that broke the report that he was on campus a few weeks ago. I don't feel like talking about Urban Meyer. Let's talk about the team that he used to coach, though. The team that we were just talking about, the team that you got a chance to see live play on Saturday. Finally, a game that you wake up feeling all the juices for, just like the Notre Dame game, of course, and that's college football. There's, of the 12 games you're going to have, if you're lucky, 4 to 5 a year that you wake up with the juices flowing, ready to rock. This game lived up to the hype. It was a defensive slugfest. We could debate about whether it was ugly offense or good defense, but the one thing, regardless, you cannot take away is the fact that two of the best defenses in the country went head-to-head. In Ohio State, regardless of my take on this, their defense is for real. I'm a big believer in that defense now. I was like, I need to see it a little bit more. They suffocated Penn State. I mean, 20-12 the final, and the only reason that they were able to get those 6 points in the fourth quarter is because Ohio State kind of backed off a little bit anyways. It was kind of not junk time, but the game was kind of in the bag at that point. Overall, every time Ohio State has a game like this, I focus on all the reasons that they can lose and all the things that can lead to them losing, but that wasn't the case this past Saturday. Penn State, I expected more out of their offense. They either didn't just have a bad game, or as Ohio State took everything away. However you want to spin it, Ohio State looked great defensively.
They looked awesome defensively. And also you got to think about it like this. They were down Denzel Burke. Denzel Burke did not play in that game. Obviously, Denzel Burke is their number one corner back on the team. So, you're getting a lot of Jordan Hancock out there. You're getting a lot of other guys out there that are part-time starters as opposed to the number one guy out there. So, that's pretty impressive on the defensive side of the ball, for them to play that type of lockdown defense in the secondary without the number one guy at the corner spot. And then you flip-flop to the other side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball, where, everybody loves to talk about and how they're struggling and everything like that. I've seen a lot of growth between one part of the offense that people worry about, and that being the Kyle McCord. I see a lot of growth through him, but the offensive line is still it's not firing the way we wanted to fire. And it's crazy because last year the offense wasn't firing the way we wanted to fire last year, and they still were putting up 40, 50 points a game and everything like that. They were super high flying and everything like that, and the defense was still coming along. And then you look at the year before that, the offense was high flying. They had a rushing attack, they had a passing attack, but the defense was terrible. So it's kind of like, well, what do you want? Well, I tell you what we want. We want the Silver Bullets to be the Silver Bullets, and we want the offense to be high flying. That's what we want as fans. But the reality of the situation, we just have to wrap our heads around it. We're not getting the quote-unquote Dwayne Haskins offense. We're not getting the quote-unquote CJ Stroud offense. We're not getting the quote-unquote Justin Fields offense. And it necessarily isn't because of the quarterback play. It is simply because the offensive line just ain't that good. But that doesn't negate the fact that they were still able to score 20 points and the defense was able to hold Penn State to 12. And obviously we got the victory. So I'm not a person that believes you have to be dominant on both sides of the ball or super elite on both sides of the ball to win a national championship. I think this defense is taking bigger and more steps because the way they're getting after the quarterback, the sack numbers, quote unquote, still aren't there. But guess what? Their third downs, they're playing lockdown defense. And I think the only way that they can lose one of these games before, even throw Michigan into it, is the way that Michigan could beat Ohio State. Somebody's going to need to beat a mobile quarterback to beat Ohio State with this defense. You're not going to just be able to just drop back and pass the ball and beat Ohio State. You're going to have a quarterback that's going to be able to scramble and pick up 15 yards on like 3rd and 5 and stuff like that. Now, McCarthy, he can do that. He did it to us last year. He picked up a couple first downs with his legs. But I don't think you're going to need, Vince Young or anything like that, but you definitely going to need somebody that can make plays with their legs. And looking at the rest of the schedule out there's only one guy on the schedule left that can do that type of thing. So, I was super worried going into this season about the offense and everything like that. I'm just basically resigned to the fact that this offense is what it is, but this defense has definitely stepped this game up a lot. So, hey, let's get ready. This is the back half. This is the back half of the season. We got, obviously, Wisconsin, a night game. Not going to be an easy game for us. Then we got, Sparty, Minnesota, and then that team up north, and we see where we lay.
And the season's already, it's
Man,
picked up. Like, I thought we were easing into the season, and I'm like, oh, wait, there's only a handful of games left as far as that's concerned. Look, the one thing about the college football playoff, the era of the college football playoffs, going from 2014 to now, 9 years worth of a sample size. Here's where my concern still lies for Ohio State. And this isn't me stirring the pot. This isn't, oh, you're just saying this to take the opposite side. No, like I've said this to everyone on the mic and off the mic. I am consistent. The one thing that the college football playoff has taught us from the very beginning all the way to now is that if you do not have an elite offense, you're not winning a national championship. That's my concern, no matter how good the defenses are, because last year, Georgia's defense was, as good as Ohio State's is this year, it's not what Georgia had last year, and it's not what Michigan had last year. And we saw that Georgia almost didn't even make it to the championship game, even with that elite defense, because of the offense that they went up against in Ohio State. But what Georgia had was, on a day that their defense wasn't clicking, they had a high-powered offense that can keep them in that game and gave them a chance to win, and they ultimately did. Michigan, high-powered defense, right? Now, they ended up losing to TCU, but they still had an offense that on their defense's off day still kept them in the game to have a chance to beat TCU towards the end. As of where we sit right now, and I like Kyle McCord definitely from Indiana to now, it's a big-time difference. I still don't see Ohio State's offense being at the point to where if that defense does have an off day, if they don't have their stuff, if they are getting picked apart and they're giving up points, multiple touchdowns and points in a half or a game, my biggest concern, this offense does not have enough explosiveness to keep them in games when their defense is off. Georgia did last year. Michigan did. And now they lost, but Michigan still had a shot because their offense was there. If Ohio State runs into a situation like Michigan did against TCU, they don't have a shot, in my opinion. They've run into Georgia like last year where Georgia was scoring on them at will. Ohio State can't flip that switch and all of a sudden turn into a high prolific powered offense. So that's my concern. Now, you can get away with that against Big Ten opponents, but when you start looking at the teams that they could potentially run into come playoff time, and they're going to run into Michigan here in about a month, and then we'll really get a good feel for who they are. The good news is, by the way, they still have a month to keep improving. If we've seen the improvement from a month and a half ago to now, imagine what another month of big games can do for the offense as far as that's concerned. But Kev, I like Florida State. I like their offense. Now we're coming off weekends where everyone's going to roll their eyes at the way Washington looked. Florida State didn't look great. Oklahoma didn't look great. But if Oklahoma puts up points on Ohio State's defense, can Ohio State's offense match? I don't know. I'm going to say no as of at least right now. Washington, same thing. Florida State right now, don't feel good about it. Michigan, not trying to be negative, Buckeye fans. I don't feel good about it either. Bottom line is, they checked off one of the boxes. It's defense. The offense, it's not an Iowa situation. I'm not
right.
This isn't Iowa, okay? I'm not trying to be that negative.
I'm glad you're clarifying.
This isn't Iowa, where they have no offense and it's all defense. They have all defense, and they still have an average offense, slightly above at times, especially when Marvin Harrison gets cooking, and that's what separates them from other teams who lack that explosiveness offensively. Ohio State, I'm not giving them a 0% chance to win a national championship, but when you look at every offense that's won, this offense doesn't stack up to those. But again, every year is different, but then again, it's not. So we'll see what ends up happening when it's all said and done. I like what they look like defensively, though. Luckily, they have a dominant side of the ball, because I don't think they're dominant offensively. But like we talked about, improvement from Indiana week 1 to now. There's still another month and some change to improve between now and that team up north, and I think that's when they're going to be challenged next. I'm a little worried about this night game at Wisconsin, which we'll talk about later in the week. But overall, not trying to be too negative, but I'm not going to act like, man, that offense was something. He threw for, and that's the thing too, his numbers. He's the best quarterback statistically. You have the Heisman favorite in McCarthy, but his numbers are better than his at times, which is wild to me. It is interesting. It's all about perception. If you're box score watching, he's great. But if you watch the games, it's just, maybe it's us being spoiled from years past. Who knows?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's definitely us being spoiled from the quarterbacks that came before him, but it's also, he does have the number one receiver in the country.
Yep.
And he's able, and it was kind of like we talked about last week. It was like, hey man, like with Mbuka being hurt, which he dressed for the game but didn't play, they force fed Marv the ball. I think he had 11 receptions or whatever for like $160. I want a nice little parlay on that if anybody's curious.
I stay away from it. I don't trust the offense. I put my money where my mouth is. Unless it comes to pay it up, then So
yeah. Well, I put that big parlay on Marvin when he finally scored that touchdown. I was like, oh, we're in the money. But anyway, the offense, yes, it's wonky. But the big part about it is, like you just said, This is college football. As soon as we think we got to figure out, and I know this is more of a segment for later on in the show, as soon as we think we got this thing all figured out, as soon as we think we know exactly where it's going, curveball. Hello, North Carolina. Hello, USC. Hello, Washington. We're looking at you. Hello, Florida State. We're looking at you. Like these, some of these games a little wonky. Oklahoma looked a little wonky. Texas looked a little wonky. They ultimately got it done. Washington ultimately got it done. But this time last week, at this very spot on the show, we were ready to hand Michael Penix Jr. the Heisman Trophy. We were ready to give it to him. Like it's over. There, it's his. Nobody's going to be in there. Nobody's messing with him. He had an Indiana type of Michael Penix game, a freshman year Michael Penix type of game out there at home. You know what I'm saying? So
they're playing a tough opponent, though. It's Arizona State.
So it's like, man, as soon as we think that, and you are 100% correct, this upcoming game versus Wisconsin at night, Camp Randall, 7:30. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be an easy game for Ohio State because you look at all these other teams that come off of these emotional games. Like you look at how Alabama played the week after they lost to Texas. They ultimately won that game, but it was ugly. They played like 4 quarterbacks in that game that they lost, that they ultimately won. Then you look at the game Oklahoma finally played after that emotional victory over Texas. Very tight versus UCF.
Yep.
You look at the emotional game that Washington won over Oregon. They barely won. So I'm sensing a theme here. I'm sensing, hey, man, you play these emotional games and then you have a quote-unquote letdown. I mean, you look at Notre Dame's emotional loss to us. Then they go right to Duke. They get the last-second victory. But it ultimately caught up with them with that third straight night game at Louisville. They lose. So, like, I'm sensing the theme here. So, this game versus Wisconsin, Coach Fickle, night game, Camp Randall, it's going to be a tight one. It's another tight one. Get ready.
Well, the thing that's interesting about that, too, I'm glad that it's a night game under the lights, too, because that might prevent that from happening. I think you get that juice when you go on the road at night. So maybe that prevents that. But Wisconsin's going to be a tough opponent no matter what, especially because you're going on the road. But no, I agree with you. For one, we're not talking NFL yet, but that's why Shaw can confirm this. I didn't come out and say I was picking the Browns to lose yesterday, but I was like, I don't feel good about this Colts game. I should feel good about it, but I don't, because it's like coming up that emotional win against the Niners last week. It's a lot of times that happens where you think you see a team upset the best team in football. You think they have it, and then they lose the next week. The Browns almost did, but that's kind of the situation that you're alluding to in college football. Coming off, sometimes the toughest game on your schedule is not the toughest opponents. It's those weak opponents after your toughest opponent. Nonetheless, but Wisconsin definitely. We'll preview more of that throughout the week with Paul Keels and Jason Fitz and the onslaught of guests nonetheless. But going to be interesting. I want to throw this out there. Where did it go? Sorry, where did Shaw's comment go? Can't remember what Shaw asked. Something about teams. Have we seen any team look consistent or be dominant every single week? No, but we have seen teams. That's why I'm not letting yesterday's Washington game or Saturday's Washington game. I'm not going to hold that against them or Florida State or whatever. Like these teams are playing tough teams every week. It stinks that it takes an off opponent to show your weaknesses like that. But it's tough to be there every week mentally. We as fans, we don't get excited about Washington, Arizona State. Sometimes that creeps into a locker room with those younger adults as well.
Absolutely. They're human just like everybody else. I mean, they look at it. They look at their record. They look at Arizona State's record like, oh, man, they won one game this season. We're going to smoke them just like we've been smoking everybody else before we got to Oregon. And then you go into this game and just like it just blah. It's just super blah. Turnovers from your Heisman candidate quarterback. Defense gets a pick 6 in the fourth quarter to help you win the game. Basically, no, not to help you win the game, to win the game. So yeah, there hasn't been that opponent out there, a la 2013 Florida State or a couple years ago LSU that just basically running the table or running roughshod over everybody. That's why we talked about before. I think that basically any team in the top 10 could beat anybody. I think anybody can beat anybody. This is NFL-esque what's going on in college football right now, especially in the top 10.
It's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. Steve Stetler. Justin, are you ready to call Deshaun Watson a bust? We'll get into that coming up around the corner as far as that's concerned. Let's see. Ryan Roth, he wrote a book.
Novel.
The Buckeyes talent wins in spite of Ryan Day. Why are we piling on Ryan Day today? What did Ryan Day do? He just won another top 10 matchup.
No, it's not a big game.
Second and inches from the goal line, spread some wide receivers out so the defense can't stick the box and have a quarterback sneak. Look, we could do this where we can nitpick a lot of calls. Look, a lot of times calls are based on the personnel that's out on the field, even not your personnel, but your opponent's personnel. They scout the hell out of these opponents. Did I like that? No. But you're also coaching. You're not just coaching against your opponent. You're coaching against your deficiencies as well. Ohio State's not strong up front offensively. I would have loved to see them just hand it off and run it up the middle. Now, luckily, they've come out with the win. It would be more crucial if they come out with a loss and lose a close game. I didn't like that call, but at the same time, sometimes it's justified because we can't sit here and talk the entire show about how bad that offensive line is and then say, well, just hand it off to the back behind that great offensive line and go for it. I don't know what you do. Again, it's a average offense. It's not a dominant offense. I don't think there is an easy answer of what to do in that situation.
So who chimed in on that?
That was Ryan Roth.
Right. So the first time they get down there, they punch it in with Mayan Williams, their power back, and they have a defensive tackle lined up at fullback, kind of something like the Browns did in their victory versus the Colts. So they've tried that. That barely worked because that was like third and inches, and that barely worked. Then they also have this package that they're running with Devin Brown because Devin Brown's more quote unquote athletic. So they're running like zone read. And when you run zone read or quarterback power, it's a numbers game. So you get more blockers at the point of attack, makes things easier. Devin Brown, last week, he basically had a touchdown, but he fumbled going into the end zone. This week, he gets down to the 1 inch line, twists his ankle. He has to come out the game. So now, it's not the fact that they're just doing the same thing over and over again. They're trying everything underneath the sun. So they tried a regular power running game with the running back. They've tried the quarterback run with the numbers game with Devin Brown. Now they're testing the edge. So it's not like, oh, man, these play calls are bad. Like, you've seen everything they can do at short yardage situation. Those are the only things you can do at short yardage. They tried to pass on short yardage with a pick play. So, it's not the play calls. It's, hey, man, we are not good up front. I mean, I don't understand what people are talking about. Like, oh, man, that's a bad play call. Well, you tried that. That didn't work. So let's try something else. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, let's try something else. Oh, that didn't work. So it should tell you, hey, man, the coach obviously sees what is and isn't working, and there's not a lot working in short yardage situations. So the thing that was working was the quarterback run. Now that Devin Brown has a twisted ankle and was out of that game, you're surely not about to be running Kyle McCord at all. Remember a couple years ago when everybody was crying about C.J. Stroud not running the ball? And then miraculously, he started, quote unquote, running in the Georgia game. Well, there was nothing else to lose at that point. They weren't confident in the backup quarterback situation. They explicitly told CJ not to run. Hey, man, we can't afford to get you hurt out here running, dude. No running. You stay in that pocket. No running for you. And you see in the NFL, CJ Stroud uses those legs a little bit more. So this whole thing about these play calls and everything like that, hey, man, some of this is really about the execution of the players. Now, hey, do we need to get better players? Yeah, that's on coach to bring in better talent. Yeah, this is on the coaching staff to coach up the guys that are necessarily there. But the actual play calls, hey, man, they're trying everything underneath the sun to make these short yardage situations work.
And Ryan Day, one of the best offensive minds in all of college football, and us all at our day jobs, who our high school or our football career stopped after high school, we know more than Ryan Day. Ryan Day has earned, when we are ticked off after a game, I think he has earned the benefit of our doubt. I can't believe we're still doing this. I don't think he's one of the best coaches of all time by any means, but man, you would think that he is just that it's Coach Ferentz running this Ohio State offense. That is not true. They've been dominant every year that he's been here. Now they don't have as many weapons as they've had in years past, so of course they're not as dominant. I'm just saying, it's strange to me, but we'll get back to this coming up. 518-1410. We'll go ahead and open up the phone lines. Shaw says Virginia is a tough team, ? UCF's a tough team. Arizona State's a tough game. Houston's a tough game. Are we really moving the goalposts like this? That was a joke when I said Arizona State was tough earlier. I hope you caught that.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And I think, Shaw, you should have caught that too. No one's moving the goalpost, but I do think that we're talking about a lot of teams that the floor can get low a lot of times for these teams, but the ceiling's through the roof. That's why I'm not mad at Washington, or they came out with a win. All right, Florida State didn't look good, but they came out with the win and pulled away late. They were actually playing a good opponent. So I'm not mad at these teams who played close games over the weekend and didn't look great doing it. North Carolina, they couldn't overcome their bad day. So, yeah.
You know, if people would have started harping on coaches, let's start harping on these coaches and these fourth downs, bro. Mac Brown has been around for a long time. I remember Mac Brown when he had brown hair.
Yeah.
And this dude, that last drive, that would have been a game-winning field goal situation instead of needing a touchdown if he had kicked the field goal the drive before with 4 minutes to go. These coaches, man. These coaches, bro.
There's a lot of that we'll get into. Brian Hetzel says, who has an elite offense? Maybe Michigan. I don't know why people keep doing this thing. Like, there's a lot of elite offenses. Florida State has an elite. Any team that has an elite quarterback has an elite offense, then they're all sitting in the top 10. I think Washington does. I think Florida State does. All right. Michigan, unfortunately, as much as that pains me, obviously they do. Texas, Oklahoma have it. I think all these teams have elite offenses. They have NFL talent all over the place. And it really just comes down to the quarterback. And that's why Ohio State, I think, is a little bit behind. I mean, the O-line's not helping. But the quarterback situation, is he better? Let me ask you. Well, I tell you what. Be thinking of this. Kyle McCord has a better offensive line. What's his ceiling? How much better would Kyle McCord be at this point of the season if he had a better offensive line? Let's consider that. 518-1410, comment section, the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, or the ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. An improved offensive line. How much better would Kyle McCord be at this point? Is it the O-line? Let's talk about that. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Today, areas of patchy fog early. Going to be cloudy early as well. Becoming mostly sunny, though, later on in the afternoon time. A high near 65. Tonight, some clouds in the evening, giving way to mainly clear skies overnight. A low around 45 degrees. And tomorrow for your Tuesday, going to see some partly cloudy skies and a high of 76. I'm Adam Zellick for 1410 ESPN Radio.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Are you a business owner in need of financing? Then you need Swish Funding, the better way to get the funding you need. Our simple application process takes just minutes with funding as soon as 1 business day. At Swish Funding, we focus on your business cash flow, not your personal credit score. And we're ready to help with funding from $5,000 to $5 million. If you've been in business for 1 year and have monthly revenue of at least $25,000, you could get the affordable funding you need with no collateral at swishfunding.com. That's SWISH funding.com.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
We love saying it because it's true. Chevrolet of Troy has the absolute lowest prices. Get the deepest discounts with up to $10,000 off MSRP, plus no payments until New Year's. And sign and drive with zero cash down. the best selection in the region with over 100 brand new Chevrolets. Remember, customer service is our top priority. We make financing a breeze. A full-service, state-of-the-art dealership makes Chevrolet of Troy your best choice. Save at 1375 South Market Street and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
Your small business is always top of mind. Well, top of your mind. To get it to the top of other people's minds, you need to get your name out front, which is where Staples Print and Marketing Services can put it. A yard sign over there, brochures right here, a banner up there. In fact, your business's message could appear anywhere. And right now at Staples, get $100 off your print purchase of $250 or more. Make a splash with your small business print and marketing materials at Staples. Ends 11/4. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, if you're thinking about getting the latest iPhone, check this out. With Boost Infinite, you get the latest iPhone every year and unlimited wireless for just $60 a month. Yeah, you get the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium. Then again, next year, you get the latest iPhone. Every year. Boost Infinite. Infinitely better. To learn more, pick up your phone, dial #250 and say Boost Infinite. That's #250 and say Boost Infinite.
Terms apply. After 30 gigabytes, service may be slowed. Receive a comparable iPhone model each year with an acceptable trade-in every year. Requires credit qualification and 36-month phone financing agreement. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dial text message from this station's network.
Klein tools are new at Lowe's, pros. Lowe's knows you want top brands and quality products, and Klein Tools delivers. Right now, get the Klein 3-piece Modbox mobile workstation for $319.94 and the Klein 5-piece cushion grip screwdriver set for just $34.97, both exclusively at Lowe's. Shop the largest selection of Klein tools, the highest quality tool brand at Lowe's. Because Lowe's knows tools, Lowe's knows pros.
Urology Specialists of Ohio are here for you. Men, your good health is important to them. Their knowledge of specific male anatomy, prostate issues, and how to help in your healing is their main focus. Urology Specialists of Ohio are now accepting new patients at all locations: Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. They have been in practice for over 20 years with over 80 years of experience between 5 physicians. Call today. They can schedule your appointment in a timely manner with little wait time. Online at urologyspecialistofohio.com.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Hey, thinking of getting the latest iPhone? Then check out the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just dial #250 on your phone and say Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station's network.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kinner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Are you ready?
We are ready, and we are off and rolling here on a Monday. It's the Kinner and Kev Show right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio 1410 Wing AM. We are live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, live on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, so go and check that out there. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Some believe I'm being a little too critical of Ohio State's offense. I do not deem it to be elite, and I do think that when you look at the history of the playoff, the history of the playoff has told us that if you don't have an elite offense, you are not going to win a national championship. And I don't think like Georgia's offense last year was elite. You had a Heisman contending quarterback. Sorry for that, folks. That volume is driving me nuts in the background. They had a Heisman contending quarterback. They had a high-powered offense. It wasn't as sexy as some of the others, but they put up points in it, yards and points. They moved the ball. Their defense was so good that was just always the talking point. The year before that, Georgia's numbers, actually, when you look at the points per game and the total yardage before, we're talking about a 15-yard per game differential from one season to the next, and we're talking about a 6-point differential from one season to the next. So it's not like we saw, you know what I mean? Like it was still a high-powered offense. You think about all the Clemson teams with Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson winning national championships, even Alabama's teams with Tua and with Mac Jones, and with those guys, all of those winning national championships, even LSU's Joe Burrow, that's arguably one of the most explosive offenses in the history of college football. In Ohio State, although statistically that season were not an elite offense, they became elite once Cardale Jones got into the fold and they spread it out and opened up the offense a bit, even though it was complemented by a heavy dose of Zeke Elliott and the run, of course. So you have to have, in my opinion, the history of the playoff has told us you don't have an elite offense. And this, I feel like more so over the last 5 or 6 years, it's really turned into that. You're not winning a national title. This team does not hold light to those offenses, at least as we sit here right now. But me and you have talked a lot about this offensive line. If this offensive line is improved, how much more does that improve the offense? Where are we seeing the most gain? Obviously, the run game probably, which then still helps the pass game. To Kyle McCord's credit, when you dive into his numbers, he doesn't turn it over.
Thank God.
Because Penn State and Notre Dame would have been two tests right there where, okay, real defenses, is he for real or not? I think he's for real because he doesn't turn the ball over. Now, for real means he's a good college quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback, but he's a good college football quarterback. I think the Buckeyes have a good quarterback. I just don't think he's elite. How much would an improved offensive line help him, in your opinion?
Light years.
Light years?
Light years. If he has average offensive line, the run game is there. That means there's more play action passes. I mean, you got to think about it. Like, I watch Ohio State just like everybody else, but they don't play action under center. You don't do that because, hey, man, we're not sure that the offensive line can hold up. So he never turns his back to the defense. Whenever they play action, it's always in shotgun. So he can see what's going on. Like, hey, man, I'm not about to turn my back because Lord knows who's going to jump on my back because I got my back turned. So, like, I think it would help him immensely. It would open up the passing lanes a ton more. It would leave safeties to come down in the box to leave more one-on-one for more big plays and everything like that. So, yeah, he would be 10 times better, or his numbers would be 10 times better, and this offense would be way more explosive if the offensive line was getting better. And I just don't think they're getting better. I think they're just stayed even the entire season while we're seeing Kyle McCord slowly but surely get better.
And I think, too, while people are piling on Ryan Day, I think you guys don't like his play calling. I think you're seeing a mix in the play calling. I think what you're seeing now, remember that I think they freaked out. The offense freaked out. That very first game against Indiana when Stover led them in receiving, when targets, he led them in targets and receiving yards. And everyone was just happy with the win and all that. And I said, that's not a good thing because that's going to create problems in that locker room because Marvin Harrison Jr. needs his, Ibuka needs his, and all this. And I felt that vibe too because the next couple of weeks it was all about trying to spread the ball out. And I felt like that hurt the offense. In Ibuka's absence, I've almost liked what I've seen better offensively because now it's whoever's open. We're going to feed it to Marvin. But you also see that instant chemistry that I think is just natural for whatever reason between him and the tight end. Stover is the second best receiver on this team this year, even as a tight end, even with Ibuka out there. And that's no disrespect to Ibuka, but that's just the change in the offense because of who's at quarterback. Bigger playmaking quarterback, C.J. Stroud. Ibuka is a much more dominant wide receiver. I know he wasn't out there the last couple of weeks, but I feel like because of the limitations of McCord, and not by much, Stover becomes his second best target. And I think that's what you're starting to see them be comfortable with. Ryan Day's almost leaned into using the tight end more than we saw at any point through the Fields and Haskins in McCord era or in Stroud era. When Ibuka comes back, I am fascinated to see, do they still go back to looking at the tight end a lot? Because there was a lot of plays, especially over the weekend. They went to Stover a lot. He's the second leading receiver that day. Do that change? Because when Ibuka comes back, does it go back to, man, we got to get our playmakers the ball? That's what I'm concerned about.
I think you got to get your playmakers the ball, the guys that are home run hitters. Emeka Ibuka is a home run hitter that can take a short pass and take it 50 yards the distance. That's the reason why he's the main punt returner. So he can take those short passes and go the distance. Getting more weapons on the field isn't a bad thing. And then that only opens it up more for Cade Stover. you think the middle of the field is open now that you got Marv on one side. When Emeka gets back, it's going to be open even more for him. So those chunk plays are there, and they're there to be had. It's just really simply the offensive line holding up and doing their part. I think pass protection wise, I think they do a decent job. A lot of that does have to do with the running backs being good at blitz pickup. But just the run offense is just not firing the way we want it to. And I mean, even rewind to like the summer going into the college football season, I was steadfast on this. I think this is a dial back to the way, quote unquote, college football used to be, where you were able to win big games and win national championships with a defense first minded football team. We're seeing what's going on with Ohio State, and we see what's going on with Alabama. Like, those two teams are still there. We're still here, ready to pounce and make this playoff push. It would be poetic justice to me if Alabama and Ohio State met in the national championship game, while everybody else in college football is 5 wide, throwing it all over the place. The last two standing are dudes that are like, hey, man, we 3 yards in the cloud of dust playing good defense. That would be pretty cool to see the last year of the college football playoff, if you ask me.
I'm always I'll believe it when I see. No, for one, Ohio State, Alabama, the only difference between the two is one has a loss and the other doesn't. I actually think they're pretty damn equal. You look at them, Colin did a blind resume test today, and Ohio State, Alabama are dead equal because they were talking about, does Alabama still have a shot?
Absolutely.
Said, no doubt. If the Buckeyes have a shot, so does Alabama, because for one, they went out, they beat Georgia, they're in. It's as simple as that. Alabama's shot to get in. It's not over. If anything, the loss to Texas just rewards them because they played somebody in the non-con as far as that's concerned. All right. So elite offenses. What do you consider? To me, an elite offense is, for one, I look at Florida State, and that's your team. I believe they're an elite offense. I believe that Washington is an elite offense. All right. I believe Oklahoma and Texas, that's an elite offense right there. Technically, you could say LSU is an elite offense, but they have so many other deficiencies, consistency. I want to say USC, but you know, it's one thing to have an off night. I could forgive you for an off night. Even good teams, even though you don't lose a game, like people are harder on Washington for playing poorly against Arizona than some are USC for losing the way they did to Notre Dame. Like, I don't want you get blown out, I'm done with you. I was like that with Ohio State years ago. You get blown out, I'm done with you. I'm giving up on you. No, I don't care. You come out with a close win against Arizona State. No one's saying that Arizona State's good. Arizona State's bad. Washington played bad. They came out with the win. I could forgive you. You get one of those a year. Now, you do that a couple times now that's consistently you're showing deficiencies. I still think Washington, Texas, Oklahoma, Florida State, Michigan, I think all those teams are elite offensively, and they all have elite quarterbacks. If you don't have an elite quarterback, I don't think you could be elite offensively, at least in my opinion, in today's college football.
Elite offenses this year, I would say Washington, Michigan, Florida State, Oregon. Elite, that's it. Okay. There's some very good offenses out there. Oklahoma's offense is good. I wouldn't say they're elite, though. And the other thing is, like, I think we all could agree that Ohio State's offense was elite last year, and that got them a shanked field goal at midnight, at the stroke of midnight, and had every Buckeye fan crying to mommy, including myself. So I just think, like, I don't necessarily think you have to be elite on either side of the ball to win a national championship. I dig what you're saying. I see you. I mean, you back it up with valid points. But I think this season, what we're seeing right now is wide open. Yep. And I think that
has not been the case in years past.
Yeah, I think this year is totally different from any other year. So we can blame it on, you know, the COVID year and guys having an extra year still. We can blame it on NIL. We can blame it on the transfer portal. We can blame it on whatever people want to blame this anomaly year on. It is what it is. We just have to operate in what's going on right now, what we see right now. I think everybody's about to have a loss very soon, man.
We almost saw. I thought you over the weekend. I'm like, oh, here we go.
It's happening right before our eyes. I don't know if we talked about this in the first segment. Maybe we talked about it in the hallway. But like, this is what college football does. We had Fitz on last week. I'm talking to him about, oh yeah, man, collision course, North Carolina and Florida State. Boom, down goes North Carolina. Oh man, I'm talking about this collision between Washington and Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. And Washington almost went down. Like, we're seeing the dominoes starting to fall. And normally what happens is teams have a close call. The next week they have a bounce back. And then that following week, the wheels fall off. The wheels fall off. So, excuse me, it's going to get crazier, man. It always happens. I don't know why we fall for the banana in the tailpipe every single year, but it happens every single year, man. Every single year.
The reason I think we're more apt to fall for it this year is because there is no clear-cut 1 and 2. Now, Michigan is there. Georgia's there. But the gap, we keep talking about that gap. The difference is in years past, teams 1 and 2, the gap is so wide that sometimes I'm like, we don't need a 12 team. We can't even fill 4 teams.
Right.
Because the gap between 1, 2, and 4. I mean, we're talking about one. You think top 4 teams, you think that's 2 really good matchups. The history tells us 1 versus 4 is an automatic shoe-in to the championship game for the 1 seed, more times than not. Obviously, Ohio State winning it all as a 4 seed, and I get that. And Alabama won it as a 4 seed. So in the 9 years, 2 times a 4 seed has won it. I get that. But, but this year, I think it just feels – I think we're going to fall for it more, or I think we're going to make it into the season a lot further than years past because of the fact that the gap is just not, there. Georgia, and again, I'm not being a hypocrite because I'm calling myself out. I don't really buy into the statistics too much because it's such an uneven playing field of strength of schedules.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm not a big fan of that. That's why we put so much weight into top 10, top 25 opponents, because sometimes that's the only true benchmark of tangible evidence of, you played a good team. But Maryland, you can consider a solid team that wasn't ranked, or at least that's what we did to cope, I guess. I don't know, to justify the struggles being down 10-0 at the beginning. Okay, cool, fine. But Georgia statistically better than Washington, better than Oregon, better than Oklahoma, better than Texas. But everyone says that they're not elite. I don't know if they're elite or not, but if everyone's playing bad teams, then statistically their numbers are still better than theirs, which is wild to me. I don't get that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it goes back to the aesthetics of it. Do you have an elite quarterback? We just don't know much about Georgia's quarterback or whatever. So it's going to be a wild race to the finish line. That's for sure. All right, let's step away for a few moments. I see Shaw's on hold. I see a couple of the calls coming in. Let's get to your calls coming up in a moment. 518-1410. It's the Kinner and Kev Show. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hi, it's Keith Byars, Hall of Fame running back for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Nothing beats watching college football while enjoying juicy, tender chicken strips. Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken is launching the Buckeye Box to satisfy your hunger. For just $8.99, you get 4 delicious chicken strips, fresh-cut potato wedges, and 2 mouth-watering dipping sauces. Stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken today to get your Buckeye Box, only at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
A horrific car accident left Paula with major injuries and surgery after surgery.
I got to the point where I really couldn't walk. I had to resign from work. I was really just laying in bed. It was terrible. I wouldn't go back under the knife.
She missed working and traveling, but all that was about to change. QC Kinetics used natural biologics to treat Paula. No foreign substances. They provided regenerative treatments that helped subside the pain and restore her quality of life.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I was feeling more movement and doing stuff. And then I started crying. I'm like, I can't believe it.
For Paula, this moment was extremely emotional.
I couldn't do nothing. And now I'm working and I was on my feet for 7.5 hours and I feel good. I got my life back because of QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics now for your consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
O'Reilly.
Get ultimate durability and extreme weather performance with Rain-X Advantage wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Purchase a pair of Rain-X Advantage wiper blades and save $10, plus get 2 times O Rewards points. Our professional parts people will even install your new wiper blades for free. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
If you're like most people, you've had your fair share of financial questions. Questions like, can I afford my son's travel hockey team? What if my daughter doesn't get that soccer scholarship? Will I be able to enjoy golf in retirement? At Empower, we know these questions can be stressful. We're here to help answer your what ifs and empower what's next. Join 18 million Americans and take control of your financial future. Start today at empower.com. Sponsored by Empower Personal Wealth.
Save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Protect your home against everyday life with Loctite Power Grab Adhesive. It's durable, paintable, and reduces the need for clamping with 0-second instant grab. Get a 9-ounce tube of all-purpose construction adhesive for just $2.99 after an 11% rebate now at Menards. Good through October 29th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Liberty Mutual presents How to Be the Life of the Party.
Okay, first turn the music off. Then ask for everyone's attention. Now, tell them that you customized your home insurance with Liberty Mutual and saved hundreds. Boom! Now everyone knows you're not just a pretty face. You have some brains inside that face that know how to save hundreds on home insurance. Woo!
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com. Based on recent survey of new customers who switched and saved. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
A psoriasis flare-up can make a walk in the park, well, no walk in the park.
It's that obvious, huh? I've tried so many lotions and creams, but I still have symptoms.
So those don't do enough to treat the inflammation beneath the skin, leaving you with those uncontrolled symptoms.
Makes sense, but what else can I do?
You can get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Make an appointment and, oh, you're already on it.
Hi, yes, I'd like to make an appointment.
Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a game-changing checking account with cash back. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank. Member FDIC.
Can you believe high school football, the regular season has come and gone? We're going to have playoff action coming up on Friday. That's right. In fact, we don't have time today, but maybe later in the show, we'll dive through a lot of the playoff pairings. One thing I'm not a fan of, Kev, right off the bat, is I do not like the GWAC just cannibalizing one another once they get into the postseason. Like, people talk about the MAC and some of these other dominant high school conferences. A lot of that, and they are, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times you have conferences that have a lot of mixtures of division teams in there. So you could have 3 or 4 dominant teams that all go on their separate path to get to Canton. Here, the region, right off the bat, let me pull this up just because I want to see what I have in front of me here. Right off the bat, when you think of the GWAC and how it's all spread out right now, you have Springfield and Wayne right away playing one another. I don't like that. Springfield and Wayne have to play one another. Now, Miamisburg is not playing a GWAC team, obviously, and you go through this. I'm trying to see some of these other ones, but nonetheless, so they've all kind of separated from one another. I know that Springboro's not, but they're going to run into each other at some point within the next 2 weeks, and then it just wipes everyone out. So everyone says, oh, the GWAC, they're overrated. They're not overrated. It's just all Division I teams playing in the same region, so only one of these teams has to come out of this region. That's why I'm not a big fan of that.
It's much like that in Cleveland as well. Obviously, being here and being from Cleveland, those are the two regions I follow the most. Just trying to map out, Sam, the path for my beloved Cleveland Heights High Tigers, who are 9-1 on the season, number 2 seed up there, good old Northeast Ohio. Shouts out to the running back Marquise Davis, number 1 running back in the state, getting recruited by teams such as The Ohio State University. Go Tigers! And then I'm very locked into what's going on with the Elks. They lost to Wayne over the weekend, but nephew got a touchdown, so it's all good.
He's quarterback, defensive back. He was doing his best.
Hey man,
he was doing his best Aaron Scott impersonation.
Hey man, but I mean you're right. So Wayne and Springfield play, and then if Centerville wins, they play the winner of that matchup. So
I like that. That's 3. Now, Springfield's record is not an indictment of who they were this season. They battled through a lot of injuries. And this is, I believe, again, no high school injury reports and all that, but just based on who I've talked to, this is the healthiest Springfield's been all year. So, again, it's just
dangerous.
They're going to cannibalize one another. And it's like Centerville's been the top team in the GWAC all year. And now they could potentially go down in the next 2 weeks because they run into a really good Wayne or Springfield team or vice versa. So who knows? It'll be interesting to see how that works out. But here we go. All first round games will be played this Friday. Kickoffs all set for 7 o'clock. The top 8 seeds in each region will serve as the hosts schools for the first round games. For the 3rd consecutive season, the top 16 schools in each region. It used to be, God, what did it used to be?
I think it used to be 12.
I think it used to be 12. I think it used to be less than that even.
Oh yeah, when I was in high school, it was like 4.
Yeah, and now, I mean, it was so making the playoffs, it almost didn't matter what you did the rest of it's kind of like March Madness. You make the big dance. For some schools, smaller schools, they don't matter. Who cares what happens? I mean, we get to put a banner up for just making the tournament. That's how it used to be. 448 high schools. I should know off the top of my head. I don't know how many high schools there are in the state of Ohio, how many football programs there are in the state of Ohio, but 448. I can't imagine that there's more than double that throughout the state. So that's a lot. That's
definitely a lot.
That's a lot. But count that money. OHSA, do your thing. All right, Kinner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM. Let's go to the phones. Let's we got Sean. Sean, thanks for holding, sir. You're on live.
Hey, go Browns.
Go Browns. How?
I know you guys weren't talking Browns, but I wanted to ask a question here. Yep. Does this team feel like the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, where they had great defense, but Trent Dilfer at quarterback? Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Look, first of all, the Browns would kill for Trent Dilfer at quarterback at this point. So I know what you're asking, Sean, and I promise we're going to get into some Brown stuff coming up in a moment. Look, the Browns have a very important piece to the puzzle, and that is an elite defense. But their problem is the Steelers have an elite defense. The Ravens have an elite defense. The Bengals have a really, really good defense. But all of those other teams have better offenses, including the Pittsburgh Steelers, which just sounds very, very weird to say at this point. Injuries have played a role in the Browns' demise, but at the same time, it seems to just be a cluster what's going on in Cleveland as far as the injury front is concerned and how they're going about to combat it. We'll get into some Brown stuff coming in a moment, or in NFL stuff in general. I want to stay on the college football side of things. We were just talking about, obviously the elite offenses or lack thereof, if you will, in college football. Where does Ohio State rank amongst those? We got Shaw. Shaw, thanks for holding, man. What's up?
Oh, how you guys doing?
What's up, man?
No, just chilling with number 2 team in the nation. That's all. No worries.
Hey, I heard there's proof of your cheating Wolverines, by the way. They're buying tickets, and this was a whole plan, man. They've been planning this.
You mean by the guy who was in picture on the sideline at Michigan games? So how was he at Michigan games?
Plural.
And at these
There's more
other
than
games
one. There's proof, dude. I'm reporting to you what the reports are coming out saying.
You mean like when you watch games on TV and there's those big signs on the sidelines and everybody can look on the sideline and do the
You can keep. I mean, you were the one that called in last week all huffy puffy about your team doing this. Now you're walking it back.
No, that was about Harbaugh. This is about every team in the country does this.
I mean, but they're breaking the rules too. It's not scouting. If
It's
it was
called
scouting,
scouting.
it wouldn't be in the rule book. I'm just
Okay.
saying they took
That's
something
why
as
every
simple.
That's why every football player on social media has came out and said that this doesn't make any sense.
It does make sense. If anyone knows how to read, they can read in the NCAA bylaws 11.6.1. I remembered it, Kev. I don't know how. 11.6.1. It's. I mean, right
if they
there.
had the proof, they would have came out with it.
They're coming out with it now. It's an investigation shot. I don't know if you know how investigations work. I mean, you should be.
No, I know.
You should
exactly how
understand. Your
investigations
team's
work.
under
And
investigation
this
all
is
the
just
time. You
my
should know how
opinion.
it all works.
It's just my opinion. Like, since we want to go here, it's just my opinion. It's the dude from Columbus that turned it in, because he can't just face the facts that he got his butt whipped the last 2 years.
Well, I mean, if you guys cheated, you cheated. I don't care if Ryan Day is the one that told on you guys. Good for him. Oh wait.
So we cheated. We cheated by running the ball for almost 400 yards.
Cheaters.
We cheated when your defensive back fell on his backside and let the wide receiver run wide open in the middle of the field.
Cheaters.
That's when we cheated.
Cheaters.
That's when we cheated.
You support a cheating program, and it's fine. It's fine.
Got it. That's fine.
You're trying. That's all that matters.
As your fake tough coach says, it's Michigan versus the world. It's fine.
Oh yeah. I hate when the world doesn't let us cheat and holds us accountable. Man, hate that.
It's fine. Show me your proof that we were cheating. Show me your proof.
It's coming out. I'm not the one investigating you guys. I'm just reacting to what the reports are coming out.
Then maybe you need to throw a word at the end of what you keep alleging. Then.
Now there's a pattern here though. There's a pattern.
Oh yeah, it's a pattern that we keep whipping your tail. You're correct.
That has nothing to do with the other. Maybe it does. Maybe it does actually, but I'm just saying. I mean, you guys stink for how long if Harbaugh's run and then just magically become good and like 100 years into his run there. I'm just saying.
Or he was there for 5, and then in year 6 he started turning it around. Okay, yeah,
Slow learner.
600.
Ryan Day didn't need 5 years.
They're close.
Ryan Day didn't need 5 years.
Ryan Day was born on third base.
Oh
Stop.
man, now you're repeating stuff that your cheating coach says. What you got,
Yeah,
Sean?
well,
What you got?
What did he build? He walked into it. What did he build?
What has Harbaugh built? What has Harbaugh done?
Harbaugh built the whole program. What are you talking about?
That program. You mean the winningest program? One of the winningest programs of all time? Harbaugh built that?
You mean Rich Rodriguez and Brady Hoke? That team that he walked into? Really? You're going to compare
with them, but that's like saying
compare what Harbaugh walked into what Ryan Day walked into? Wow. Anybody that called you a hater is like delusional.
Thank you.
You have buck nuts hanging from your earlobes.
Actually, if you call buck nuts right now, I mean, I wasn't cut out for buck nuts. They moved on because I wouldn't drink the
because you're
Kool-Aid.
better than what buck nuts deserves.
Are you insulting me or complimenting? I'm so confused right now, Shaw. But anyways, no, you called in for a reason. Before I get in trouble for saying I just, what we got? What we working with?
I'm trying to figure out, and it's not just you. It's not just you guys. It's national media. It's everything. I'm just trying to figure out why this year the goalpost has to keep moving. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Who's moving it?
The entire media. That's who's moving it. When Georgia dominates teams for 2 years, they are the most dominant team in college football history. They are the best team who's ever put on a football pad, and they should go down as history as such. There's a team from 4 hours north of here that's doing the exact same thing, and all we want to talk about is signs.
Michigan's won back-to-back national championships. Michigan is going on year 3 of being undefeated.
I didn't say that. That's
but you did. You said no. You just said that they're doing the exact same thing.
We're doing the exact same thing.
Georgia actually challenges themselves in the non-conference.
A and B together.
I'm just
Since
saying.
you can't put A and B together, let's go. Come on, catch up.
I don't think I need to catch up. I think I need to slow down so that you can catch up. You just said that the school of 4.5 hours from here is doing the same thing as Georgia, and all people
this
focus
season,
on is cheating.
correct. This season, yeah, we're beating teams by okay. So it's because they haven't played anybody. Yeah, okay. So Virginia's somebody.
Georgia is back-to-back national champions. Like, they've earned the benefit of the doubt. Your team lost to the one team you didn't scout in the last 2 years, and look what happened.
So Virginia's somebody.
No, didn't say
Virginia's a juggernaut, and you should never lose to Virginia. That's what we're saying.
Who said that?
Which one is it? Is it like we didn't play anybody, or is it the fact that everybody's struggling against teams that they're playing, yet there's one team in the country this season that is dominating people?
Your team's the number 2 team in the country. What are you crying about? Kev and I both said they're the best team in the Big Ten. What are you crying about? It's like you're trying to create a problem that doesn't exist. I mean, you're pretty close. You're puffing up. You're tearing up.
I'm pretty close.
Yeah.
You know me better than that. Come on.
But I don't understand, Shaw. But you, what are you mad at? I think Michigan's getting a lot of respect. They're the number 2 team in the country, and they haven't played anybody.
There it is, right there. You just uttered it right there. But anyhow, whatever.
That's a compliment. They haven't played anybody, and they're still.
I forgot. Virginia and Arizona State are the juggernauts of the country. I forgot.
What are you talking about?
Anyhow, so moving on to your guys' team. Your fan base is mad because it doesn't look like the way they perceive it should look.
Yeah, we have
and I'm going to drop something and then I'm going to get off the phone.
Okay. Is it a cuss word again?
Whatever. Dude, you think you're funny and you're not.
We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months. Now through December 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see our full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check us out online at ColumbusEquipment.com.
O'Reilly. Get ultimate durability and extreme weather performance with Rain-X Advantage wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Purchase a pair of Rain-X Advantage wiper blades and save $10, plus get 2 times O Rewards points. Our professional parts people will even install your new wiper blades for free. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Lowe's knows pros want savings now. That's why, as an MVP's Pro Rewards member, you get volume savings on orders of $1,500 or more at the Pro Desk. And there's more. We've lowered our prices on select top products like electrical wire and drywall, so you can get the job necessities for less. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. In-store only. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-372-2017. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-372-2017. 800-372-2017. 800-372-2017.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late-night fights.
Discover credit cards do something awesome. At the end of your first year, they automatically double all the cash back you've earned. That's right. Everything you've earned, double. See terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, and we are back. I had zero intentions of making this about the Michigan cheating thing, and it's my last thing on it, and then we're moving on. Shaw, every time you call in, like, yes, you could say I maybe try to poke the bear and take it in a certain direction, but I felt like you called in, and I was willing to have just a normal conversation, but you started, like, throwing out things that just didn't make any sense. Michigan is getting a lot of love. They are the best team in the Big Ten. Kev and I have both said it. And, like, hell, Keith Byars has them ranked higher than Ohio State in his poll. There is no homerism stuff going on. I'm very confused as far as what's being thrown out there. National media, the only time they're piling on Michigan is honestly just about another scandal. Media does that. Anytime there's a scandal,
Right.
media loves that. Of course they're going to jump on it. Michigan, despite playing nobody, every show I watch, it makes me nauseous how much they get the benefit of the doubt for playing nobody. But I'm also pretty well aware that if Ohio State was in that position, I would expect the same thing, that they've earned that. They've back-to-back Big Ten champions in the playoff last year. They returned pretty much everybody. They have a Heisman favorite quarterback right now. No one's beating up on Michigan outside of them being involved in another scandal. And as far as that scandal, another one, as far as that's concerned. Speaking of that, Clay Hall tweets out that just in about half hour ago that per ESPN, the NCAA is expected to receive video evidence of illegal technology used in scouting tied to tickets being purchased by UM employee Stallions. How about that? The Michigan Stallions. According to sources, an opposing Big Ten school looked up in-stadium surveillance video from a game earlier in the season. Sources said that the person in the seat of the ticket purchased by Stallions held his smartphone up. Wow. And appeared to film the home team's sideline the entire game. Again, really goofy, weird stuff. I don't know how much you're getting away from what's on that film that's coming from the Stallions or whatever. But the bottom line is somebody under the umbrella of Harbaugh is going in, whether they're acting rogue or not, it's still breaking the rules. You're not allowed to do that. That's not up for debate. That's not an opinion. We could say that the rule is silly. There's a lot of silly rules. Hence, open the NCAA rule book. We can try to out-silly the other rule. But rules are the rules, as Kev loves to mock.
Rules are the rules. For me, like this is silly to the 10th power. I said this on last week's show about this whole sign steal thing. You can steal signs during the game. That is 100% legal. That is why there's no rule against it in the game. This whole thing for me, it seems like there's some weirdo out there that works for Michigan staff and a super fanatic fan that's trying to do something to impress the coaching staff. Like, hey, look what I got. Like, look, I got some secret intel from Rutgers. Like, that's what it seems like to me. And let's be real, man. Like, stupid question. I know you haven't seen it, but people listening, have you ever seen the movie The Fan? I know you haven't. It's a movie, stars Wesley Snipes or whatever, and he's a baseball player, and he has a fanatic fan that's like super crazy. Like, let's not be crazy, man. There are a ton of people out here that will do this type of thing for their favorite team, and some of these dudes ultimately do work for some of these programs. Personally, I think that's what's happening. I don't think Jim Harbaugh went to this whatever dude's name is like, hey, man, I want you to go to Rutgers. I want you to go to Northwestern and stand on the sidelines with your iPhone and tape their sidelines. Do I believe that for 1 second? Absolutely not. With that being said, Jim Harbaugh is the leader of the ship. And when stuff like this happens, the leader of the ship has to answer for it. To answer Shaw's question about why Michigan isn't getting the love that Georgia has gotten, well, Georgia has back-to-back national championships. They have hardware to show up. I believe on last week's show, I was out for the show, but I caught a glimpse of it. He was complaining about what did Michigan have to show for what Harbaugh, his tenure at Michigan. Well, he has 2 Big Ten championships, back-to-back playoff appearances. And you're dang on right. When there's a scandal about a major team that's undefeated, that is going to be the talking point. It's not going to be like, oh, man, you're taking on Michigan State, who has fired their head coach for a scandal off the field. When Michigan State was a hot topic this season for like 2 weeks, the topic was what Coach Tucker had got himself involved in. It wasn't what was going on the field. And I remain consistent on this on all forms of college football, all forms of athletics. You have no control over your conference schedule. Your conference schedule is your conference schedule. You have no control over, hey, man, you guys play Rutgers. They stink. Well, they're in our conference. What do you want us to do? You do have control over who you play in the non-conference. And Michigan decided to play absolutely no one in the non-conference. That's why, like, you kind of heard Herb Street talking about it on the Florida State Duke game, where like, hey, man, Florida State should be rewarded for playing LSU in the non-conference, just like Ohio State should be rewarded for playing Notre Dame in the non-conference schedule. And things like that. And just like Alabama and Texas playing each other in the non-conference schedule. When you play, quote unquote, real opponents in the non-con and you have a good game, you're rewarded for that. Michigan chose not to do that. And for that matter, so did Georgia. They chose not to do that either. But they got 2 back-to-back championships.
And to be fair to that team up north, they did have a game scheduled this year with Washington, took it off the schedule because they're going to be joining the Big Ten. So there's that. Now, Georgia also had a game one of the new teams go, I think it was Oklahoma. Georgia and Oklahoma had a game on the schedule. They took it off for the same reasons.
Right.
Michigan and Georgia are in the same boat. They did technically try to challenge themselves this year, but because of the conference realignment and they play each other right away when this alignment takes place, that's why they took them off. The only thing I'll counter with, to Alabama and Texas's credit, they kept that game on the books. They could have easily said, you know what, we're about to be conference mates. Let's just cancel it the way that Washington and Michigan did. And the same thing with Oklahoma and Georgia. I don't blame Michigan and Georgia for doing what they did. They're about to join conferences. Okay, that's fine. That's your get out of jail free card or whatever. But with that comes the repercussions of this. So it's not like, look, we were poking at this schedule last year. Before,
There's no repercussions.
It is what it is.
There's no repercussions.
You're 1-2.
You're undefeated. Yes. Those are the repercussions. Oh man, we ain't got to play Washington. Good. Dial up UConn. Dial up UNLV. Let's get another dub on the schedule and pack the big house and get some more money in here and know we're gonna win. So like it's a lose-lose for the college football fan because you get one less good game on the schedule, but hey, for the program itself, it's another victory in the column. It's a stat game. It's all good. It's nothing really to complain about. I mean, this whole thing about, oh man, they should be number one. Yeah, I think they should be number one. I thought they should have been number one going into the season based off of the guys that they're bringing back versus off the guys that Georgia has lost.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I thought it was common sense to have them number one. Oh, they're number two. Oh, okay. Well, guess what? If they win all their games, guess what? They're going to be number one. So like, that's why I have this conversation with my brother all the time. He asks, how's the show going? It's like, man, like, I feel like I'm not a good sports talk host because a lot of this stuff don't matter. And I present that because ultimately in my heart, I feel it don't matter because guess what? It's all going to play out. But people listen to the show. They don't want to hear that, oh, it don't matter. It'll play out because that's not good entertainment. So I kind of have to play along. But ultimately, guess what, Michigan fans? It don't matter. If you win out, you'll be national champions. That's all that really truly matters. And then it'll get retracted and taken away and you get the banners taken down because you're cheaters.
Yeah, I see. Kevin, I saw that meme this week too. This will be the biggest blowout that was ever vacated after they beat Michigan State. Now, there's more to this story that just came out. Austin Ward dug in more to this report from Pete Thamel and Mark Schlabach that the Stallions had purchased tickets.
The Stallions. Is that the NIL collective or something like that? Because I haven't had a chance to read the story.
That I don't know. I think unless that's what they're calling the cheaters.
Because there's only one Stallion out there, and his name Meg the Stallion.
So the Stallions apparently had purchased tickets on both sides of the shoe for Ohio State, Penn State. Losers, bunch of cheaters. If you are that confident that you're the number one team in the country, you don't need to waste this much time on all the other peasant teams in your weak ass conference. So that's weird to me. By the way, last thing on this, we'll move on to your USC comment. Alabama should be furious then. Alabama is the one that should be like, we have Michigan fans calling in, oh, we're getting criticized too much because we didn't play anybody. If I'm Alabama, I'm pissed. We played somebody, and because of that, we're number 10 in the country. When if we wouldn't have put Texas on the schedule, we'd be undefeated right now, and we'd be right there at the top. We'd probably be ahead of Michigan. They'd probably be the number 2 team in the country right now because that's how that works, right? With Alabama, whether we like it or not. So they're a prime example of that. Michigan, you did fine. I poke at it, I don't have a problem with not really playing anybody, because if it happens to Ohio State, it happens. I think next year's not a very big year.
Yeah, it's not.
So
I have to look at it again to see exactly what this conference schedule is. But like those non-conference games are going to go away with expansion because, I mean, on paper, there's a lot of big-time matchups, obviously, with them bringing in a lot of the Pac-12 teams.
Yeah, and then Schwederman called him out, too, for last week for calling in and saying that he wanted Harbaugh, fired because questioning what has he done for Michigan outside of all these scandals. And now he's saying Rich Rodriguez, and he's bringing up he saved the program. He brought the program back. See, the goalposts that are moving, Shaw, we're not moving them. I think when you just run side to side, you're on your back and you're moving them yourself as far as that goes. But nonetheless, all right, Kinner Kev Show, 1410 Wing AM. USC going down over the weekend. Another interesting outcome as far as that's concerned, because for one, I think that's the third loss for Caleb Williams against Utah. He just can't seem to be Utah. Utah is a pain in his behind as far as that's concerned, but there seems to be something else going on. A lot of talks about, obviously, their head coach, Lincoln Riley bolting, that there's just some issues behind the scenes in the locker room going on there. And maybe there is something seems off as far as USC is concerned.
Yeah. There's so many different ways I could attack this USC situation, but I won't go there with the Lincoln Riley to the NFL stuff. I won't go there with you can't build a team through the transfer portal, because there's other teams that have, a la Florida State, built their entire team through the transfer portal. There is a difference between a team and players, and it seems that USC has players as opposed to a team. With that being said, the thing that I really wanted to talk about is Utah, because they're the winners in this situation. Utah, over the last 10 years, and I like to look at things in a 10-year segment, because that's like actually how you can gauge things, not off a 1-year sample size or 2-year sample size, over the span of 10 years. So over the span of 10 years, Utah is a better football program than USC. I know that USC is in the great state of California, right in the heart of Los Angeles. I plan on going there very, very soon to hang out with my brother. But over the last 10 years, Utah has more wins than USC. They have more head-to-head wins over USC in the last 10 years, 6-4. They have more Pac-12 championships than USC, 2-1. And they have now beat USC 4 times in a row. So this past year, obviously, they beat USC at USC on Saturday. Then last year, they beat them at a neutral site game. And then earlier that year, they beat USC on their home field. So that's a clean sweep. So this whole thing about like, hey, man, these teams got to come back from the dead. Like, man, USC has to rise again. Miami has to rise again. Let's start giving some props to the teams that actually handle their business. No. Do I think that Utah can win the national championship? No, I don't think they can. But guess what? They're better than USC. And it's time that people realize that USC ain't USC. This ain't Matt Leinart. This ain't Reggie Bush. This ain't Lindell White. This ain't Jarrett Wilson coming through there. This is not none of them dudes. This ain't Troy Polamalu. This ain't none of those dudes. USC, oh, no. Because multiple coaches. So we can't blame this on Clay Helton anymore. This is Lincoln Riley's second year and third loss. My goodness. You lost to these dudes 3 times in the span of a calendar year. Ouch. Look, man, I just want to give props to Utah for handling their business and not getting caught up into this hype machine that's out there.
Yeah, and keep in mind with what Utah has coming up. All right, Utah, what they have coming up, Kev, is, I mean, you say they can't win the national championship. Well, they'll have a chance to prove that they're capable.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're a one-loss team that lost to a top 25 Oregon State team.
Yep.
But they have Oregon next week. They have a very tough Arizona State team coming up. But they have Washington in the third to last game of the season. So they have Oregon. I mean, let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 of the last 6 games feature USC, feature Oregon and Washington. They just beat, USC, obviously. But they'll have a chance to compound that with the win over Oregon if they can do that coming up. It's a home game, 3:30 kickoff this weekend. Right? Is the 28th this weekend? Yes, it is. And then they'll have Washington here in a few weeks. They'll have a shot.
Oh, yeah, they definitely got a shot. Do I think that they're going to be able to run that table? I doubt it. But, hey, man, I really like the program. I like Kyle Whittingham. And the other thing is, this is the definition of a team. The guy that was supposed to be their quarterback, Cam Rising, had the torn ACL in the Rose Bowl last year. So they announced that officially he's out this season. Well, they're on technically their third string quarterback, who is a former walk-on quarterback. Like, he destroyed them. They have safeties playing running back, getting wide open. So whatever is going on at USC with that defense out there, or that lack thereof defense, because earlier in the season, like they were playing good run defense. Not this past weekend. And matter of fact, not the weekend before when they played Notre Dame. So it's a bleep show out there in California. And this whole thing that Lincoln Riley loves to do, he did this when he was at Oklahoma, when they have the upset loss to Oklahoma State, his last game at Oklahoma. He decided not to make the players available to the media. He did that again at USC. Not going to fly. Not going to fly, dude. Definitely not going to fly.
No, and by the way, Ryan Day is officially better than Lincoln Riley, and here's why. I get so tired of, Lincoln Riley's teams don't play defense. Well, technically, Ryan Day teams didn't play defense either, but you know what he did? He lost sleep at night. He stressed over it. He made sure he made the right hire. Knowles, he got it right. I didn't like it at first. Last year, I was like, it looks like the same as before, but, you let Knowles breathe a little bit. And look, and not even an entire calendar year, Knowles has like totally shifted the emphasis of this defense. Ryan Day made sure that was a priority, that we got to get someone in here that is going to turn this around. It almost feels like USC is just like, yeah, it's just that Big 12 mentality. To Ryan Day's credit, he at least understands the importance of both sides of the ball. Lincoln Riley is so focused on Heisman-winning quarterbacks and high-powered offenses and has nothing to show for it. Ryan Day at least knows the importance of a full, well-rounded team. And he's an offensive mind. His strength is the offensive side of the ball, but he knew the importance of getting a defensive-minded dude in there to help turn it around. And that there's really no excuse for any coach to have a reputation of, we don't play defense. You find someone that does. That's why you have an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. And if you are the offensive coordinator, pseudo-offensive coordinator, then you go hire someone to come in and lead your defense. Like, it's as simple as that. Doesn't make any damn sense to me whatsoever that Lincoln Riley, who I've been a huge fan of for years, continuously gets a pass for just not playing defense. Because I thought Ryan Day was on that same boat until this season. It's like, oh yeah, Ryan Day does care about defense. He may not understand the defensive side of it, but he found it was his job to find someone that does. And guess what? Knowles could have been hired by USC as well. USC has the same opportunities everywhere. Yeah, it's just wild to me.
USC in trouble, and they're in trouble for two reasons. They're not killing it in regular traditional recruiting. The teams that are still killing it in regular traditional recruiting, your Georgias, your Alabamas, your Ohio States, like, they're going to be perfectly fine. Because if they're still going to simply try to rely on the transfer portal, I don't think the transfer portal is going to be, for lack of a better word, as popping as it was the first couple of years. I just don't. And then you also got to think about everything that Coach Prime is doing. Like, he seems like to be the hotbed for all the transfers. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you don't have basically the Oklahoma offense transferring to USC with you? What are you going to do then? What are you going to do if you don't have a first-round quarterback transferring with you that already knows your offense? What are you going to do then? Oh, it's been proven that, like, you can't get the transfers on defense to come to your place. So what are you going to do then? So I'm sensing a couple more losses for the Trojans.
Last thing on the way out, this story just was pulled up on by Pete Thamel from ESPN. Last of the Michigan thing, and then we're stepping away. Keith Byars is going to hang out with us here in just a few moments. But the scope of the University of Michigan's alleged sign stealing operation includes both video evidence of electronics. I think someone just said, prove it. Well, it's about to be proven. Operation includes both video evidence of electronics prohibited by the NCAA. Okay, so there's violation one, to steal signs, and a significant paper trail. All right, Stallions forwarded the tickets that he bought. Oh, so how could he do it? He was on the sideline at the Michigan game. Well, here you go. Here's your answer. So apparently, Kev, the tickets that were bought by that individual, all right, that were then forwarded to, to at least 3 different people in different areas of the country. Okay. Sources say, which hints at the breadth of the operation. Okay. The NCAA is expected to receive video evidence this week of illegal technology used in scouting tied to tickets purchased by Stallions, according to sources. So the tickets, they've traced the tickets back to this individual from the coaching staff at University
Barcodes,
of Michigan.
baby.
Yep. And conveniently enough, once this word got out, the tickets that were purchased on both opposite ends of the stadium for Michigan for Ohio State and Penn State, coincidentally, and that was a hot ticket this weekend. Someone would have loved to sit there, you a-holes. All right. No one was sitting there, Kev. No one used the tickets. They didn't show up. Must have been stuck in that traffic that we were talking about earlier. Hate when that happens. The NCAA is expected to receive that evidence. An opposing Big Ten school looked up in-stadium surveillance, Kev, from a game earlier this year, and sources said the person in the seat of the ticket purchased by Stallions held his smartphone up the entire time, as we talked about. Sources have also confirmed to ESPN that the Stallions purchased the tickets on both sides of the stadium, as we mentioned. The tickets purchased by the Stallions were not used on Saturday. Stallions' names emerged publicly in an ESPN story on Friday. There's more to this. Some are, again, has this peaked? Has this reached the level? This is where it's still not a good look, though, because this was a thought out, premeditated, orchestrated scheme. Whether Harbaugh had anything to do with it or not, it doesn't matter. It's not like Tressel was in there getting tatted up on his right ass cheek saying "Go Bucks," right? Like, let's be real
that
here.
Sleeve.
Yeah. And if he did, that's awesome. And I think what he would have got. I am curious.
He could have got a vest tattoo.
If Tressel gets a tattoo, if Jim Tressel gets a tattoo, what's he getting tatted and where? In comment section. We'll be back in 3 minutes. If Jim Tressel was to get a tattoo back during Tackgate, what would that tattoo have been, and where would he have gotten that tattoo? Kev and I will have that answer next.
Oh, my God.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast is calling for partly cloudy skies tonight with the overnight low at 46. We'll see sunshine and 77 tomorrow. On Wednesday, partly sunny and a high of 73. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Are you a business owner in need of financing? Then you need Swish Funding, the better way to get the funding you need. Our simple application process takes just minutes with funding as soon as 1 business day. At Swish Funding, we focus on your business cash flow, not your personal credit score. And we're ready to help with funding from $5,000 to $5 million. If you've been in business for 1 year and have monthly revenue of at least $25,000, you could get the affordable funding you need with no collateral at swishfunding.com. That's SWISH funding.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game.
To 50% off. You also get 10 free gifts. That includes a racy item for him, a sensuous toy for her, and something we know you'll both enjoy. Ooh. And 6 extra special bonus items that are sure to rev your engine, pique your curiosity, and even blow you away. And best of all, free shipping. Always delivered in discreet packaging. So rethink your bedroom routine. Go to adamandeve.com and enter this station's exclusive code at checkout, free66, and get, the discount, 50% off almost any item and 10 tantalizing free gifts. That's free66. Again, free66.
We love saying it because it's true. Chevrolet of Troy has you covered for all of your auto service needs. We have the most up-to-date and state-of-the-art dealership with experienced service department that's second to none. In fact, we're the only dealership in Miami County with an on-site body shop. Our experienced professionals diagnose your vehicle quickly to get you back on the road. For a limited time, get an oil change for as low as $29.95. Chevrolet of Troy, 1375 South Market Street, and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
I'm not exaggerating when I say this. QC Kinetics can change your life. You can live again without that chronic joint pain and without drugs or surgery. Hi, it's Keith Byars. QC Kinetics is advanced regenerative medicine. They take your body's own concentrated healing properties and put them right into your joint to restore and to repair that damaged tissue that's causing all that horrible pain. The patient satisfaction reports are astonishing. Finally, a real alternative to the old ways of dealing with pain. And unlike surgery, there's no downtime with QC treatments. If you have constant pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, or back, you need to call and get a free consultation from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics today. Imagine this fall, moving around pain-free, doing the things you love again, walking, hiking, playing with the grandkids. Call QC Kinetics and see how the latest advances in precision regenerative medicine can attack your pain and bring you lasting relief. Now is the best time to get started. 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
Your house is more than just a roof over your head. When it comes to protecting your home, you want a roofing company that you can trust. That's where Enterprise Roofing comes in. They've been serving the Dayton area for over 90 years and have over 1,000 Dayton area projects under their belt. They're a third-generation, family-owned business, and they're here to stay. You can trust Enterprise Roofing to be here, now and whenever you need them. Call today at 937-298-8664 to schedule your consultation.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Hey, thinking of getting the latest iPhone? Then check out the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just dial pound 250 on your phone and say Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station's network.
I have no clue how this even came about, Kev, but if Jim Tressel was caught up in Tatgate, what tattoo would he get and where would he get it?
He would get a vest.
Is he a forearm kind of guy?
On the forearm, on the inside of the forearm.
So I feel like it'd be on the upper arm, the shoulder area, or in the back that would say, that's a good football team. That was his post-game every time. He'd get them beating a team 28-0. Big-time blowout for Jim Tressel. That's a good football team out there, no matter who it was. Youngstown State, I mean, they insert any one of Michigan's non-con opponents. Bowling Green, that's a good football team out there. That was just the best.
So you know what? I was doing a little project this morning while I was on the treadmill because I went to another Ohio State game. So I was trying to think of all the Ohio State games I've been to. And as I'm doing my research, I've been to a lot. But there's a lot of Ohio State blowouts on here. There's a 42-7 victory over Michigan that Jim Tressel was the head coach for. So when people would always like rag on Coach Tressel, like Tressel ball, and like people were like, man, this is a Tressel ball game this past weekend or whatever. I was like, man, people act like Jim Tressel didn't have his fair share of blowouts on his resume. So shouts out to Coach Tressel.
And to be fair, I've always said Tressel ball wouldn't work in today's era of college football because style points matter. Look, the great coaches adapt. I would think that Jim Tressel would adapt if he needed to add a fourth quarter of whoop ass on a team to keep Ohio State in good standing with the old committee. Trust me, the vest, he's a very intelligent dude. He would have done it. I promise you that much. Shaw says this. Ron Howard said, he said gold pants tramp stamp. Ron always coming in with the.
I think we have a winner.
I think that's the winner. Ron, good for you. No, Donald Hutton Jr. says Jim Tressel tattoo should be his record against Michigan on the ring finger. On the ring finger. I like it. I like it. David Shaw says, take away everything from the investigations. Michigan can't comment on anything, but the NCAA can freely leak everything to the media. Seems like a raw deal, in my opinion. We're learning everything in real time, and you're not allowed to state your case? Lame. Look, if this was an investigation into Ohio State, would you be doing the, man, poor Buckeyes, they can't even tell their side of the story. This is lame. This is where that's the uncomfortable homerism right there. Like, is it lame that they can't give their side? Okay, maybe, but whether it's coming from the NCAA or not, it doesn't take away from the fact that this is going on. Like, this is a thought out, very premeditated scheme to do something that we've talked about. There's a lot of steps involved for something that I don't think overly helps you. I don't think Michigan, I'm complimenting your team, Shaw. I don't think Michigan is as good as they are because of this. So why go through all this to risk this mess? That's what just blows my mind. I know we've talked about it and I didn't want to keep going, but he made me.
Rewinding it a little bit. Remember Penny Hardaway and the James Wiseman situation back at Memphis? Where was that then?
Yeah.
Where was that then? It's because it's your team and you want your team to be unscathed and just roll through this thing unscathed and be happy. Like that's not how it works. Where was this when Bill Self was going through this and his cheating self? Like, it wasn't. You're only saying this is because it's your team. With that being said, look, man, you're 100% correct. Like, look, what are you going to get out of an iPhone video? For all we know, this dude had an Android and getting grainy video. Like, I just don't know. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I would love to know what a coaching staff could possibly get out of a cell phone video from the sidelines that they can't get out of the all 22 that all coaching staffs get. You're going to get more out of trying to steal signs from across the field than you are out of a cell phone video. I just wholeheartedly believe that. And I think it's a very big discredit to the coaches on the staff to say, hey, man, we're getting game film, real game film, not TV film, game film of the all 22 that all the conferences have to share with each other, that they can't break the film down to figure out what schemes that the other teams are running. So this guy that's hired by the school, a la, I don't even know. Like, I just don't understand why somebody would do this, because you're just going to make it harder on yourself, because when you get caught, you got to deal with this type of situation. You got to deal with the media. You got to deal with other fan bases. People are going to start pulling up receipts like that old interview Greg Schiano's floating around on social media now. So, like, all these are going to start popping out more and more and more. And, you know, being a Michigan fan and being a part of the staff, you're just going to have to deal with it.
Michigan football has suspended their analyst, Connor Stallions, with pay. So earlier when they said Stallions, I thought that was like I thought it was like a nickname that they were giving these, you know, the cheaters, but, you know, just the cheater, apparently, who represents the cheating program as a whole. Michigan football suspended Stallions with pay amid the program's sign-stealing investigation, Wolverines athletic director Wade Manuel announced this past Friday. Now, he's at the center of this investigation into their potential sign-stealing scandal, according to ESPN's Pete Thamel. Now, he's a low-level staffer with a military background. Now, I thought that was weird. I'm like, why is that in there? Why do you have to include the military background? So I looked into that, Kev. There's a reason that is a key piece of information because of what his role was in the military, okay? He played a key part in the alleged elaborate in-person scouting system to decode opponents' play signals. Now, according to the report, he's a former Marine captain who has worked in the recruiting department since May of 2022. He is reportedly known within the program for his ability to decipher signals and from opposing teams, even claiming on his now deleted LinkedIn profile, Kev, to using Marine Corps philosophies and tactics to identify the opponent's most likely course of action and most dangerous course of action.
That's sick, man. This was a sick puppy, man. Like, I put this up there with the people that pray to God that their team wins. Like, that's what I put that up there with, man. Like, dude, there's way more important things going on than sports and football. Like, you could be using all that knowledge, you know, to help our military. You know, like, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, dude.
But the thing is, though, he's just a lowly staffer, right? Well, what made him credible to be a lowly staffer? You mean to tell me that these highly ranked universities they're not scouring every bit of social media? They're not doing background checks on these dudes? You don't think that they came across that social media?
I can assure you that universities do intensive background checks.
Yes.
I can assure you of that.
So with that being said, this idea that he was acting rogue, You mean to tell me with that background that he wasn't given a little direction, or at least said, or that the university wasn't aware of what his skill set is? And you weren't monitoring it? Like, that's the thing.
Harbaugh is definitely going to have plausible deniability. Like, somebody, maybe the DC, maybe another staffer is going to ultimately take the fall before Harbaugh is. Harbaugh is going to obviously finish out the season, but like whoever this guy directly reported to, he's gone too. And there's going to be, hey man, they're setting up buffers before you get to the real big dog in this situation. So ultimately, he probably is going to be in the NFL or whatever, not have anything to do with it. It's not going to affect him at all. But like, Harbaugh's not going to get fired for this.
No, but at the same time, if this is a big elaborate scheme, I mean, technically, what Urban Meyer did back in the day, he wasn't physically involved in any altercation, but because he kept a guy on now he kept a guy. This is vastly different. I'm not comparing what that was to this, but it's the same principle of, well, it happened under his watch.
Right, absolutely.
And
100%.
he was kind of pushed at Tressel, same thing, except he lied during the investigation, so that didn't do him any favors either.
Right.
But my point is they can't do this whole, he did this completely independent of it. We have no idea why he would do such a thing. Well, go read the LinkedIn profile. Clearly, you knew what his background was that gave him a valuable skill set that made him a valuable piece as a lowly staff member to your coaching staff.
What's that Liam Neeson movie? I have a set of skills.
I have a set of skills. I have a very important. Yeah, I will. Ryan Day. I will find you and I will kill you.
Goodness gracious.
Aye. All right, let's talk with Keith Byars, shall we? Keith Byars, he joins us next. It's the Kinner and Kev Show on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield